Nobody wants you here. My younger sister Chloe's voice shrieked across the grand dining hall of the Pinecrest Country Club, ringing out like a gunshot over the gentle Christmas carols playing from the overhead speakers. Look at her standing by the door in that ridiculous costume, dragging her dark energy into our family holiday after spending years leeching off Dad's fortune while the rest of us actually worked. Over 60 high society guests, prominent local politicians, and maritime logistics contractors froze in place, silver champagne flutes suspended halfway to their lips. I stood erect near the snow-dusted glass entrance in my dark blue Army service uniform, my spine locked in rigid parade rest, my right index finger quietly tapping an unyielding rhythm against my trouser seam, a subconscious habit built over 8 years as Captain Victoria Mercer, Intelligence Operations Lead for Special Operations Command. In my left glove pocket, my fingers gripped a heavy steel encryption keycard stamped with the designation Sierra 44. Beside Chloe on the festive stage stood my mother, Beatrice, draped in a mink coat, sipping vintage wine alongside my former fiancé, Harrison, who stared intently at his polished leather shoes. Hanging directly above the grand stone fireplace was a massive velvet banner reading, "Merry Christmas and congratulations Chloe and Harrison, new executives of Mercer Global Logistics." "Chloe, stop," I said, keeping my tone dead flat, using the icy, disciplined cadence I had perfected during high-stakes interrogation debriefings in Eastern Europe. "You sent me an urgent text message at 1700 hours claiming Dad's medical trustee required my immediate physical biometric signature to sign his final hospice release papers." "I lied to pull you into this room on Christmas Eve," Chloe barked into the wireless microphone, her diamond earrings flashing under the festive lights as a bitter, victorious laugh echoed off the high timber beams. "I wanted every influential figure in this city to see what a pathetic leeching fraud looks like. You spent years hiding in military barracks overseas, while Harrison and I worked 80-hour weeks to salvage our family's $50 million shipping empire. Meanwhile, you refused to contribute a single dollar from your officer salary to support your dying father's medical foundation." Harrison stepped forward, taking the microphone from Chloe, casting a practiced, sorrowful look across the room that sent a surge of cold adrenaline through my veins. "It's true, Victoria," Harrison said into the sound system, his voice filled with calculated, pitying tragedy. "I tried to love you, but your combat paranoia and endless psychological instability made you completely unlivable. Chloe is whole. She belongs in the executive suite. You belong in a government facility." A wave of hostile whispers rippled through the hall. Wealthy investors exchanged glances of disgust, shaking their heads at my stiff uniform. Chloe smirked, leaning against Harrison's shoulder, her manicured fingers twirling an emerald pendant that had once belonged to our late grandmother. "She doesn't even hold an active government security clearance anymore," Beatrice shouted, her voice rising to a sharp screech. "Security, drag this embarrassment out into the snow before she ruins my daughter's Christmas celebration." 2 heavy private security guards stepped rapidly from the shadows of the foyer, closing in on my left and right flanks. But before their hands could touch my uniform sleeves, the heavy double oak doors at the main entrance slammed open, letting in a swirl of icy winter air. An elderly, broad-shouldered officer stepped through the doorway, his brass buttons catching the warm firelight. Major General Richard Sterling, Deputy Commander of United States Military Sea Lift Command, flanked by 2 armed military escorts. The entire dining hall plummeted into dead silence. The 2 security guards halted in their tracks, staring at the decorated general in absolute shock. General Sterling walked slowly across the marble floor, his dress boots thumping against the floorboards. He walked past my mother, past Harrison, and stopped directly from me. He looked into my eyes with profound, silent reverence, brought his heels together with an echoing crack, and rendered a rigid, flawless military salute. "Captain Mercer, Directive Sierra 44 has been fully authorized by federal authorities. The Department of Justice and Naval Criminal Investigation Service are live on site. The floor is yours, ma'am."
Chloe's smug smile vanished instantaneously. Harrison's hand tightened around the microphone stand until his knuckles turned ghost white.
General Sterling? Beatrice stuttered into the microphone, her voice losing its polished venom. I think there has been a terrible misunderstanding. This is a private family holiday party. Victoria is just a discharged, low-level logistics clerk. General Sterling didn't even look at Beatrice. He remained standing at attention beside me as I took 3 deliberate, steady steps forward. I pulled the heavy steel encryption keycard marked Sierra 44 from my pocket and held it high under the direct glare of the chandeliers. The exact keycard my late father, Colonel Arthur Mercer, had secretly encoded and handed to me inside a sealed military envelope weeks before he slipped into a non-responsive state. 6 years ago, I said, my voice projecting through the hall with razor precision. My father suffered a devastating neurological incident. My mother and sister informed me that Mercer Global Logistics was utterly bankrupt, that Dad's specialized life support costs were $45,000 a month, and that if I didn't sign over my military power of attorney to Harrison, Dad would be evicted from his medical center. "Don't listen to her!" Chloe shrieked, rushing to the front edge of the stage. "She's unstable. She suffers from severe blast-induced hallucinations from her overseas deployments. She forged those documents." "I signed the military power of attorney," I continued, ignoring my sister completely as the crowd watched in mounting horror. "I signed the military power of attorney, and for 72 consecutive months, $15,000 a month was automatically deducted from my combat hazard pay, my flight bonuses, and my officer disability trust. I lived in a cold, sparse rental near the base, wearing worn civilian clothes, eating basic rations, believing every single cent was keeping my father alive in a specialized private rehabilitation facility." "It was!" Beatrice screamed, her hands shaking violently as she pointed at me. "Every penny went straight to his medical team." "Then why," General Sterling spoke up, pulling a heavy blue federal dossier from his coat, "does the Federal Medical Registry show that Colonel Arthur Mercer was transferred to a fully government-funded Veterans Affairs medical facility in Maine, paid for entirely by his official military pension benefits?" The silence in the room was so thick you could hear the snapping of the logs in the fireplace. Beatrice froze as if struck by lightning. Her mouth opened, but her tongue refused to work. "You lied to me for 6 years, Mom. You told me Dad was in strict quarantine, that visitors were prohibited by hospital protocol. You sent me manufactured monthly progress reports stamped with a fake physician's seal, just so you, Chloe, and Harrison could siphon over $1 million of my combat pay to fund your penthouse apartments and luxury ski trips." "Victoria," Harrison stammered, stepping away from Chloe, holding his hands up in a desperate gesture of surrender. "Victoria, please, listen to me. It wasn't my idea. Your mother told me you were deployed in classified operational zones and would never cross-reference local VA records. She said we needed the capital to keep Mercer Logistics afloat." "You spineless coward!" Chloe screamed, turning around and striking Harrison across the chest with her glittery clutch bag. "You were the one who demanded the high-frequency trading account. You forged my sister's signature on the Federal Port Authority transfers." "I forged them because your mother said she had full power of attorney," Harrison yelled back, shoving Chloe away as the 60 wealthy guests watched the 3 turn on each other like wild animals. Before anyone could move, I stepped over to the main audiovisual desk at the side of the stage. I inserted the steel encryption keycard marked Sierra 44 into the master terminal and typed in my 8-digit security clearance code.
The giant velvet banner behind them automatically detached and dropped to the stage floor, revealing a massive LED screen that flickered to life. Instead of promotional videos for Mercer Global Logistics, the screen displayed a real-time federal audit ledger from the Department of Defense Inspector General, complete with bank account paths, red federal seals, and decrypted wire transfers. Source account: Captain V. Mercer, Combat Hazard/Disability Trust. Destination account: Chloe Mercer Offshore Holdings, Switzerland. Total stolen funds: $1,080,000. Classified Port Authority license number Sierra 44, registered solely to Captain Victoria Mercer. You told this room that Mercer Logistics was saved by Chloe's business intellect. Chloe didn't secure our contract with Federal Defense shipping routes. I cleared those routes using my active military security clearance from my deployment desk. Harrison stole my digital credentials using the military power of attorney my mother manipulated me into signing while I was recovering from an explosion.
No, that license belongs to the Mercer family, Beatrice shouted, her face pale with terror as she stared at the screen. A military power of attorney obtained through fraudulent medical representation is a federal felony, Mrs. Mercer, General Sterling stated coldly. At that exact moment, the double doors of the country club swung open once more. 6 uniformed federal marshals, accompanied by special agents from the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, marched down the center aisle, their tactical boots striking the marble in synchronized rhythm. The lead NCIS agent walked straight up the stage steps, stopping directly between my mother, my sister, and my ex-fiancé. Beatrice Mercer, Chloe Mercer, Harrison Vance, the agent announced, his voice echoing off the high ceiling. You are under arrest for federal wire fraud, multi-year military pension theft, corporate espionage, and unauthorized manipulation of classified defense logistics credentials. Get your hands off me, Chloe shrieked as a female marshal pulled her arms behind her back, the sharp, heavy click-click of steel handcuffs echoing through the silent hall. Do you know who I am? I am Chloe Mercer. I run this city's charitable foundation. Your foundation, the agent replied with absolute indifference, was frozen 2 hours ago following Captain Mercer's submission of sworn federal affidavits and forensic banking ledgers. Harrison offered zero resistance. He dropped to his knees on the stage floor, weeping hysterically as the officers cuffed his wrists behind his tuxedo jacket. Beatrice gasped as her expensive gown caught on the podium edge while she was led away, her social standing demolished before every news camera and corporate investor in the city. Victoria, stop them, please, Beatrice sobbed, her face contorted in frantic, ugly panic as she was hauled past me toward the exit. We are your blood family. It's Christmas Eve. You can't let these people put your own mother and sister in prison. I stood straight, my shoulders back, my chin held high, looking at my mother with absolute, unshakable calm. You said nobody wanted me here, Mom, and for the first time in my life, I agree with you. As the federal marshals escorted my mother, sister, and ex-fiancé down the aisle past a crowd of horrified investors who were already pulling their contracts, General Sterling stepped up beside me. He didn't offer superficial comfort. He simply offered a crisp, solemn nod of profound military respect. Slowly, every defense contractor, city official, and veteran in the room stood up from their tables, breaking into a roaring, rising standing ovation that echoed off the high timber ceilings, honoring the true officer who had stood her ground against absolute corruption. I held my head high, feeling the cold weight of truth, knowing that 6 years of manipulation had finally dissolved into the unshakable peace of earned justice. You cannot cure toxic family members by sacrificing your honor, your earnings, or your truth.
For 6 long years, I allowed my family to manipulate my sense of duty, believing that my silent endurance was proof of my love for my father. I let them insult my military service, belittle my achievements, and steal my combat pay because I foolishly believed that keeping the peace was worth any personal cost. But manipulative, greedy people do not view your patience as love. They view it as an invitation to exploit you further. They will steal your hard work, dismantle your self-worth, and attempt to publicly erase you, all while playing the victim when their deception is exposed to the world. Real peace does not come from quietly enduring abuse to protect people who harm you. Real peace comes from standing firm in your integrity, stepping into the light of truth, and allowing the unyielding consequences of their own choices to dismantle their lies. Never set yourself on fire to keep toxic people warm.